Welcome to Team Heavy. Oh!
How's it going, everyone? This is OHxCORNGUY from Team Heavy. Just want to share some thoughts on Cards, the game we all know and love. Specifically, some thoughts about what I find fun in Cards versus what is available in Cards, and then leave some suggestions. Kind of just share my thoughts and vent a little, and then open a dialogue with you in the comment section, or if you want to message me in any of the Discords that I'm in, or whatever, or maybe just take away and stash these thoughts for yourself for the future. So let's begin. Let's talk about what I find fun in Cards. And I'm sure that some of you will share similar viewpoints. The first thing is the theme of Cards. Number one, World War II. Grounded in reality. It's fun. And this is in stark contrast to a lot of the other trading card games, collectible card games, that the theme is not magic. The theme is not fantasy. It fills that niche in the market of a grounded reality CCG, and I really appreciate that, and I find it pretty fun. Another thing that I like about it are the mechanics, the synergies, and the combinations you can get. I like the credit mechanic, how it increases, how it uses credits to operate, the frontline mechanics, the interactions of the different unit types, the synergies you can get from your main nation and your ally nation, different cards, how they can interact, the combinations you can set up, are all highlights for Cards for me. And that brings me to the next point, the deck building. I really enjoy, theory crafting, trying to build and fine tune lists, existing lists, build new lists, and that also includes crafting and building lineups for events where you have to bring multiple decks from different nations. That is so fun for me. That is the highlight, really, for Cards for me, is theory crafting, bringing different decks, with bans. I'm going to ban this type of deck. I'm going to bring these 3 decks. That is very enjoyable for me, and it's probably one of my favorite parts of Cards. Playing with different nations, different types of decks, trying to counter the meta, counter the opponents I predict I'll be playing. All very fun. And that includes different formats of decks. Or let me rephrase that. That includes different formats in Cards. I do enjoy playing Pauper, Standard, Classic. Those are really the big ones. I still like Singleton, and some other of those other crazy formats I found enjoyable, and especially when you add the requirement of bringing multiple different decks from different nations, and then trying to build a lineup around a certain strategy or countering your opponent's strategy in all formats. Chef's kiss. That is what I love about Cards. What else do I like about Cards? And this is going to be the competitive camaraderie. I love hanging out with your friends, helping them get to where they want to be, whether it's practicing for an upcoming event, whether it's helping them go up in the ladder, whether it's helping them prepare for a tournament, or an event. And then I love the camaraderie during the events, playing against people people you don't know, seeing the leaderboards, seeing who you're going to have to play next. Spending that time where we're all, chilling together, playing an event, and then talking outside of it, with the friends that you build throughout your competitive career in cards, whether you join a team, whether you join a Discord of a team or your favorite player and you feel like you're part of the community. That's also very good aspect of cards that I enjoy. Obviously, being a member of Team Heavy, I enjoy, being that guy on Team Heavy who can really be supportive and, help other players on the team when they might be sad, or, give them compliments, etc. It's just the best part. So just to recap what I like about cards: the theme, it's grounded in reality, it's not magic. The mechanics, credits, frontline, unit types, main nation, ally nation, different combinations, interactions of the cards, and then I like deck building in all formats. That includes crafting lineups, using multiple different nations, theory crafting metas, leaning into the meta, trying to counter the meta, etc. Now, let me talk about what is available in cards. Some of the things that I liked are like the strengths of cards, but I feel like cards in 1939 are not leaning in to the strengths, to their competitive advantages, to the things that make their game successful. For example, right now, there's only cards OCCs. How do you get to an OCC? You play, on average, 300 to 400 best of ones, where there's no open deck list. You can play against whatever you want. If they win, they move on. You don't get a best 2 out of 3. You can just play Jaggro or Frontline 300 times. No variety, no, if you try to counter one deck, it always seems like you get queued against someone who's playing something completely random that hard counters you. German ramp, it's on the ladder. You try to counter ramp, you get hard countered by your read. It's very frustrating. Just best of ones, you don't have an opportunity to build a lineup, to ban decks, to... And I understand that's not like the format, but just playing 300 to 400 best of ones, where the most optimal strategy is to play Frontline or Jaggro and just grind it out. And it feels like you get punished for trying to bring more creative decks onto ladder, or if you're trying to counter specific decks on the ladder, that they just never show up and you lose so much elo. It's so frustrating. But I mean, that could be a subjective take, but what's objective is the only thing that is available in game is ranked. Now I'll touch on the other aspects, but if you want to get to an opportunity to play with multiple different decks, to have bans, you have to play 300 to 400 games with Frontline Jaggro at a high success rate. That has to factor in all of the RNG losses that you could take, etc. Oh, and that's just brutal. And that's only for standard. It just seems like 1939 does not support or care about classic cards. For example, with all these cards reworks, we have so many memories playing certain types of decks. It's fine to rework busted cards, but then to just outright change them and just destroy the nostalgia aspect. You can't go back into a limited mode with your friends and play with the decks that you've been playing with for 2-3 years, that you have so many memories. It's gone because those cards are reworked. Cards could have this huge environment where they, you have these different deck formats which are supported in as much as they're not destroyed, at least, if not alternative queues, or alternative game mode events that you could play them. 1939 is that we will support community events, which is fine. There's just not very many community events to play in. Spoos Nations Cup, absolute blast. Only a few people can play in it. The Chinese server tournaments, sometimes they're fun in unique formats. Sometimes they're not. Once a month, that's solid. The hours aren't the best for me, so I try to play them when I can. The skirmishes, they just don't cut it. The special operations events were very fun because they allowed that competitive camaraderie where you could prepare decks with your friends. Then you had that tournament. You could see the bracket. You could see the standings. You could, you were doing the event with the community just for a set amount of time, even if it was just bragging rights. But now it's just an in-game client with a weird format. You don't get any bragging rights. The incentive is just maybe a card or a pack. It's just kind of lackluster in my opinion. So a few suggestions that I have. Community events, we could definitely step it up. 1939 has given us the support. I know it does take a lot to run it. Maybe a few people run one event a year with alternative formats, best 2 out of 3. They give us that opportunity to experience the full depth of cards that you can't get just by playing cards in the in-game client. For skirmishes, I would suggest in-game leaderboards for skirmish events, at least. Just say you want to play this event this weekend and you want to show that you're the best at this event. You can see people's elo for the event, and even if there was no rewards for the ladder, it would at least be cool for those few people who enjoy playing the alternative events just for the sake of playing alternative events. There could be those bragging rights in the skirmish. You could click on the leaderboard and you could see the OHxCORNGUY leaderboard for that month. You could see the skirmish event for that weekend. Maybe it's archived somewhere else. Another thing you could do, you could try monthly alternative formats within the in-game client. So you could say, you can queue ladder, you can queue classic, but for the month of March of 2024, there is a pauper ladder that you can enter. There's a leaderboard. You're not going to make an OCC for pauper, but for the entire month of March, there is a pauper ladder that you can queue. Even if it's just for bragging rights, maybe there's in-game rewards. The top 50 players or whatever get diamonds for placing high in the pauper format for that month. And then next month maybe they change it to singleton, maybe they change it to a best 2 out of 3 queue, etc. So in-game leaderboard for skirmishes, and then a special alternative queue with its own in-game leaderboard for each month that rotates. Each month there's a new, whether it's pauper, whether it's singleton, whether it's a classic mode queue with the in-game leaderboard just for that month, just for bragging rights or in-game rewards. That would really give more opportunity for people to have different outlets for creativity. And personally, I would love more opportunities to queue with different nations. Now, I know there used to be opens, but even the open qualifiers, you could just play the same deck the entire time. Like, you could play Brit Air every single match. Even if you win, you could still queue Brit Air. You could queue Jaggro. I mean, please just make it so that if you win with a nation, you have to win with a different nation. It's way more fun and interesting for me. Could you make an in-game queue where you face whether you queue with 2 different decks, and then if you win with one, you have to select the other one that you queued with, or let's just say you queue into a best 2 out of 3 match. You select a deck, and then you select a different deck after the first match ended. You could do something like that. I also would like to experiment with sideboards, whether there's a community event that allows sideboards so that you can swap cards in after the first match. That would add more strategic depth that would tickle me pink. So basically, those are my suggestions. In-game leaderboards for skirmishes, alternative format ladders or leaderboards for each month that rotate, give a little bit more depth. Experiment with give us more opportunities to play best 2 out of 3s. With a ban would be nice. I personally am willing to accept not even having a ban as long as you have to win with different main nations. Bring 3 decks, get a ban. Bring 2 different decks, win with both. That's where is my happy place. And unfortunately, the only way to get there is to make OCC quals by playing 300 to 400 matches of the same deck over and over, hoping that RNG does not give you too many bad matchups or -20s, and that's brutal. So yeah, let me know what you think. I definitely still like cards. But I like the theme, I like the mechanics, the deck building, I like the the community, the competitive camaraderie. Just asking for more opportunities for cards to use its competitive advantages as a card game. The card building, the main nation, ally nation, the vast variety of cards is so fun. But we're just limited to ladder with one deck being played over and over again ad nauseum, hoping that it doesn't get hard countered, hoping that the RNG doesn't go your way so many times because of the way that you get -20 for losing, +8 for winning. It's very punishing. It works. Still, it really sucks when you hit those losses. And I'm going to just try to explain it one more time. I know this probably is just say, Corn Guy, we got it. You're dumb. I think the main thing is the aspect of cards, of deck building, of trying to counter decks, of bringing different decks that synergize well, that counter what you expect from your opponent, that are unexpected of your opponent. Maybe it's, instead of doing open deck list, you have closed deck lists so that you have more opportunities to slip surprises in to catch your opponent off guard. and I just don't understand why 1939 and Cards, you have that advantage, that aspect of Cards, which is so good, so appealing, but you don't give more opportunities to support alternative formats, to support, you know, those diverse experiences. Instead, you have ranked, you have unranked, and yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Sorry for a little bit of a rant. I just wanted to make it real quick to share some of my thoughts. I do like the in-game leaders for skirmishes because I personally like playing the skirmishes, but it just feels unrewarding once you get the reward to sit there and play it. You best case scenario, you have fun by pranking an unsuspecting person, and then you just move on. You don't get to have bragging rights within the community that, look, dude, I absolutely nailed this skirmish. Or, I also like the idea of alternative formats with in-game leaderboards that rotate different formats each month. I think it's fun. Best 2 out of 3 queue, classic leader board, sideboard support. I don't know. I'm fine without it. Maybe just try it. So yeah, let me know what you think, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.